Morning. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day. We're very fortunate to have this good weather since it's so bad in the middle of Florida. But thank you for coming. Thank you, members and guests. And we'll start off with a invocation. Patty Truslow is going to step in and do it today.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes. All right, let's pray. Father God, we recognize your presence with us now, and we give you our thanks and praise for your great love and care for us. Thank you for blessing us, all of us, with the opportunity to live here at LVE. We thank you for all of our administrators, and we pray especially for Scott right now as he's completing his move and can finally begin to get settled. And we pray for all of our staff members. We thank you for them because they bless every aspect of our lives here. And we pray for these board members as they give even more of their time here. Thank you that we're able to have this Residents Association that represents every resident. We ask your blessings on this board meeting today as these representatives hear of the good work of each officer and committee and administrator. Give us all a spirit of cooperation and respect for one another, and help us to grow in loving kindness as you help us grow into the LVE family. We pray in your holy name, and we give you thanks and praise once more. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Patty. I'd like to call to confirm the quorum, Madam Secretary.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
The next is the minutes of September 12th meeting called for approval. Is there anyone that has comments or suggestions? Otherwise, the minutes are approved as issued. The Treasurer's Report, Marie Oates.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We began the month with $112,632. We had income of $50 for memorial leave, $9,175 for the Employee Appreciation Fund, and $171 in interest. Spent for engraving of memorial leave, $60. New checks for the employee Christmas gifts, $51, and new large print books for $359, leaving us a balance of $121,559. Are there any questions?
All right. Thank you, Marie. Very good.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
The next is the Executive Director, Scott, who's going to make some announcements.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for the well wishes. Our home in Florida survived. Our former home in Florida survived. We closed on Tuesday at 8 p.m. I checked to make sure the wire transfer had taken place, and it had, so I was relieved. My son, well, all four kids, three are in that area, Sebastian, Vero Beach area. One is in Orlando. The Orlando son, they got hit the hardest. Haven't heard from him this morning, but he's also in a college town, so he doesn't normally get up until noon. But throughout the night, he was giving updates, and they were getting the brunt of it at the time. Our home area in Sebastian did well. A lot of tree debris, power flickering, but not power out. So we were very blessed in that area. My son did a drive-by of our former home, and it survived well, and they had put up shutters. There were a couple of cars in the driveway, so they must have moved in Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday, so they're there. So that's great. I do have a few updates on our impact, ACT's impact on the Florida communities. I got an update this morning I asked for. So Meese Life, which is in Dunedin, just north of Tampa, their Willowbrook Court and the memory care are without power, but on generator. They lost a lot of, there's a lot of tree debris and some balcony screen damage, but nothing significant, so that's great news. They probably were going to get hit the hardest, we would think. Indian River Estates in the Vero Beach area is without power and has some tree debris. And the Boca communities are doing well with just some tree debris. They still have power. So overall, the ACT's communities fared very well. Hurricane Helene update, Tryon Estates, which was hit the hardest of our communities, is mostly back to normal. They did not have significant community damage, but their communication, they had serious communication challenges due to so many power outages and power poles down in western North Carolina. So they're pretty much back to normal now, but they had several days without power and without communication. So the ACTS team did a wonderful job of coming together, sending people from all over the country, well, all over our communities to help out where we could. So we feel very blessed. And there's just so many that are still struggling in so many ways that, you know, I know we're all here praying for them. Hiring updates. So Chad and I had a second interview with an external candidate for the restaurant manager position. That was yesterday. We have 2 more internal candidate interviews, and then hopefully next week we'll be making a decision and making an offer to a candidate. So that's where we are with the restaurant manager position. Nutrition services manager. That's a position in the culinary department that oversees Oak Ridge Terrace and Willowbrook Court residents, their menus, their dining preferences and needs. Rebecca Davis is our current NSM, I'm going to use the term. Her name, or that's her name, and that's who's in that position. She gave her 30-day notice. Her and her family are moving to South Georgia for her husband's job. So we've posted that position, and we're going to fill that position as well. Some of you may know Julie, but I know you all know Julie, our Director of Sales. She has been helping out at Westminster Village in Spanish Fort, Alabama. They had some turnover. We're in a great spot with our sales, so she volunteered, and they took her up on it, so she's been spending time in Spanish Fort. She's actually here today. She came back not knowing what the impact of the storm would be on travel, but she's going to be going back and forth and helping a lot at that community, which is great that we can help out. My first Ask the Director meeting took place this past Tuesday, and went well. I'll be continuing those meetings on the second Tuesday of each month at 11 o'clock in the meeting room. I know there was some confusion on the location, but it will be in the meeting room. And invited residents are the floor representatives, the cottage representatives, and your executive committee. So we'll continue with those meetings. A lot of good information, a lot of questions were sent in advance, and I was able to provide answers to most of them. Sustainability Committee, I did get interest from 9 residents. They volunteered their services, so I will be convening them. I just emailed them this morning, along with 4 team members that will make up the committee. So there'll be 9 residents and 4 team members, and we'll have our first meeting a couple of weeks from now. I did speak with the St. Andrews community down in Boca Raton. They have what I've been told is a successful sustainability committee. Got some tips from their executive director, and we'll be implementing those, and we'll have our first meeting and see where we go from there. But looking forward to that. The ACTS budget presentation is on the 24th of this month. Ed will be joining myself and Lori Woodward. She's our Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing in that team's meeting on the 24th. Compliance audit. So ACTS has a compliance department, which is great. I mean, we don't always look forward to seeing them, but they help us make sure that we stay in compliance. They're going to be visiting us next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and a couple of team members will be here on site to conduct audits in the culinary, campus safety, and Willowbrook Court areas. And again, having this available is a real blessing to us as communities. Senior Expo, coming here on next Wednesday, 1 to 3 here in the auditorium. And what that will entail is each department will have a table set up just to introduce themselves and what we do here as a community. We've got 65 prospective residents that are already signed up to attend. So any of you that would like to attend, we'd love to have you. Just mingle, get to know the prospective residents, tell them what it's like to live here. You do not need to sign up. It's just the prospect so we know who's coming. But we'd love to have whoever, if they're able to attend, and that's next Wednesday, 1 to 3. And survey responses, you know, a clever resident, which many of you are, responded back to my comment about keep me out of the doghouse, which I'm sure you all noticed, saying, Scott, you might get in the doghouse by our responses, which is a great point. But I really want you to respond and take the survey. As of this morning, 45% of the independent living residents had responded. A lower percentage in Oak Ridge Terrace and over 54% in Willowbrook Court. Now that's not counting paper copies, which Julia has several, so that brings up our percentages. So please take the survey if you haven't, and encourage others to if you talk to them. That's all I have. Any questions for me? You know how to get a hold of me, right? Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
All right, Scott, thank you very much. Under my remarks, I'd just like to say that we're blessed to be safe, and we should all pray for those who are not safe, or worse, are injured, missing, or faced with massive damage. So we might just take a moment of silence to pray for all those people who are not doing well in this tornado. All right, thank you very much. The nominating committee, which consists of Guy Laboa, Struther Randolph, Dwayne Johnson, Annette Fibbage, and Ken Freitz, have nominated a board list for next year, starting at the bottom of the list, if you will, but the beginning of the list. The representative at large is Mr. Ray Leach. Treasurer, continuing in her position, is Marie Oakes. A new secretary, replacing Virginia Chandler, is Kim Milton. Vice President, continuing in his job, is Chess Treadway. And the nominee for president is Sharon E. Schachter. Nominations will be available for anybody that wants to nominate anyone else in November. At the November board meeting, we'll have nominations at that point in time. And the voting will take place in November. I would just point out, in my own case, I will serve if nominated, if elected. But, so you know that now. Others may want to vote, not today, but they need to come forward and make their nomination. And as I say, the voting will take place in November. As far as the continuing business, we've been working, the RA Board Executive Committee, and Augie and Don and others in his organization, the RTI organization, have really been working together. And I think you have a document that we have distributed, which is a document that brings together the two organizations. So does anybody have comments on the text that should have been sent to you? If not, you have two little voting slips in front of you, hopefully, and you can vote just yes or no as to this letter of agreement between LVE Residents Association and LVE Retired Treasurers, Inc.
May I make a comment, Ed?
Surely you may.
At this time, only one vote is required.
Right.
Two slips, the second one is for another vote.
Right. The second one is what?
For the bylaws.
Right, okay. Dwayne?
Is this on? I guess it is now. I had gone through, I'm not voting for or against, so this is just my information comments, because there has been, as most everybody agrees, communication difficulties over what is done, and that's why Augie put this out, so that was good. A couple of my comments when I read it and went through were that I guess you're having a vote on all members of the board of directors shall be LVE residents, and you're saying you're gonna vote on that, I guess, next board meeting. And I was just wondering on some of this, it says you don't have any compensation, whether, you know, these bylaws, as you know, of any type, not ours, we have to have the whole vote of the association in Virginia. I think that's what you were saying.
Yes.
So that'll have to occur probably next year or something. But the bylaws for RTI can be changed any time, because there's nothing in here that restricts that or says that it has to have anybody else's approval. And so I just wish that there were some type of, talking about no compensation. I have no mistrust for anybody on our board, so don't misunderstand that. But we're making a document that's gonna continue after a number of us won't be here anymore. And so you need to be careful about those. And I thought there should be something, some approval someplace or some time related to the members being part of it, LVE, and no compensation. That's one of my comments on that. And I guess the bylaws have been cleaned up a little bit. It says in here that they were drafted, I don't know, by attorney or by the board, and then the attorney incorporated it. So I just want to make sure that everything is hunky-dory, because this is a more permanent document. That's what we always did. I had 16 corporations myself, so I'm somewhat familiar with this stuff. It wasn't mentioned, I believe, Augie, that right now you have 90, where's Augie? We have, oh, hi, Augie. That we have $90,000 under the current, whatever the North Georgia's something or other. Yeah, in that, and then they write the checks and we give them what we want it written for. And that it didn't say in here that you already have another bank account. Is that correct, with United Bank, in anticipation of all this, and you already have money in that? Is that correct?
Thank you. Ed, is it appropriate for me to respond to his questions at this point?
I'm directing it to you. We're having discussion.
Okay. Taking one at a time,
Okay.
your point on the bylaws about, first of all, the board members, there's no mention of about compensation. And it states in there that the compensation is set through resolution, which we adopted. One of the first resolutions that was adopted by the board was that all the directors on the board will serve without compensation in a volunteer status.
Which is good.
And additionally, all the help in the retired treasurer's thrift shop will be 100% volunteer.
Right.
That has been passed and adopted by the board.
So can that be changed? When could the bylaws be changed?
And Dwayne, you know, and you and I spoke about this
Yes, we did.
already, and the issue is that bylaws can be changed by whatever board is in place. The resident association bylaws are changed almost annually. These bylaws that we have adopted are fine for us right now, but there's nothing that we can put in there that will bind the hands of future boards. So in other words, another board of directors could come in and change the bylaws as appropriate for them. So
That's
we
my
can't.
concern.
But that could happen with any bylaws. The resident association could change the bylaws to charge you for serving at some point down the road. The only thing that the bylaws do is provide guidelines for operation of the organization at the current time.
Well, I realize that, Augie, except that there are sometimes you could put a limit on how the bylaws have changed if you have a check and balance with something else. The resident association has to vote on the bylaws change. I mean, everybody. Is that correct, Virginia? Everybody has to vote on it? We can, as a board, we can't just change the bylaws ourselves?
We can propose amendments.
Right,
Which
but,
the board can approve.
right.
Once approved, they go to the entire resident.
That's what I'm
population
saying.
voting.
So we have a check and balance situation with all the residents have to prove what the board recommends,
Yes.
right? And I just didn't, your board is so small,
Right.
and so that just was my concern. I understand they can be changed. On the other hand, I don't know if you have any outside.
The resolution we adopted does not have an end date on it. It's a standing resolution
Right.
until at some point in the future, some board may want to address it again, but there'd be no reason to. But we have done what we did our due diligence on that issue.
Yeah.
Okay,
The only thing that concerns me, Augie, about that, we're talking about the future, not you, and not Don or anybody else, is that you're now going online to the outside community, and that opens up some other possibilities of what the board could do in changing things. That, we're trying to keep it as an LVE benefit, or we give our things to the treasurers, and then treasurers sells them, and the benefits come back. For example, I understand we have $25,000 allocated for this auditorium and upgrade of stuff, which I think is wonderful. So I'm just raising that issue. If there's some point, I know that there are ways to do this, but I don't have a recommendation for it right now. I just read it through and I want to comment on it. How about this extra bank account?
the original bank account was established with the North Georgia Community Foundation
Thank you.
in the name of the Special Projects Committee. And it is still in the name of the Special Projects Committee. Since the incorporation process, that committee is a part of the Retired Treasurers Incorporated Board, but that account is going to remain as it is at the North Georgia Community Foundation, and it will be used to fund all future requests we get from residents for projects for this community. We will use that money to fund those projects until there is nothing left in it.
Right.
In the meantime, we have opened up a new bank account under the name of Retired Treasurers Incorporated. And
I think that's enough discussion of this issue. We need to stay on the agenda, and I would like to make a motion that we approve the letter of agreement between LVE Residents Association.
You can't make a motion.
I can't make a motion, but if someone would make that motion,
Is that a point of order?
approve or disapprove of the letter of agreement.
Can we hear the answer to what he was saying? He was answering a question, Ed.
Make a motion.
We have a motion, or we don't have a motion. Does anybody would like to make the motion, or do we want to continue the discussion?
Evidently, we want to continue the discussion.
I'd like to raise a point of order. I think this is off the subject. We're discussing an agreement between LVE Board and the Retired Treasurers Board, and the Retired Treasurers Board is separate. We have no control over what they do, and I think this discussion does need to stop. I ask for the parliamentarian to rule on that.
So
You're
we're
not-
not voting on this letter, as he just mentioned?
Yeah,
voting?
we're just voting on the letter. I move that we accept
this
this letter.
This
Of
letter?
agreement, not the letter of agreement.
Oh, letter
Not-
of agreement. Okay.
Not the retired treasurer's
Okay.
article here that answers a lot of questions. So I move that we vote to agree to the terms of the agreement between this board and the Retired Treasurers, Inc. board.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor indicate by aye. Pardon me. All right, is there any discussion, further discussion?
I just have one question. The special committee we have now, they have been determining who gets the money for special projects. My question is, does RTI now determine who gets the special project money?
RTI does. The RTI board. Is there any other discussion? Call a question. And if you can indicate it by your hand or your voice or sign this little voting slip. Everybody has 2 voting slips.
Every board member will vote using their ballot. One of the tellers will pick the ballot up from you. We'll tally them and give the result to Ed, President.
All right? Yes or no?
You may go ahead.
I just heard someone ask, who's the parliamentarian? And we have, Carolyn Vanderpool has been, starting January 1st, C.W. Marlowe has agreed to be our parliamentarian. Is that right?
Starting when?
January.
No.
You haven't.
Ed asked me in an executive committee meeting if I would be parliamentarian for the November board meeting, and I said, yeah, I agreed to that. Yes, that's my agreement right now.
Yeah, I thought I could talk you into it.
He's done such a good job. We want him to continue. The vote was unanimously yes. So the letter between us, between LVE and RTI has been approved. All right. Augie, did you want to say something at this point in time?
Yeah, thank you, Ed. And I'll make this brief, but on behalf of the Board of Directors of Retired Treasurers, Inc., we are very pleased to have this new alliance now in place with the Residents Association. And over the years, Retired Treasurers, despite being open only 3 days a week for only 4 hours each of those days, is now on track this year, much to the thanks to Kitty Marlowe. We're on track to hit $60,000 in revenue this year, selling blouses for $2. Go figure. We have expanded our operation, as Dwayne pointed out a minute ago, to consignment sales and online sales, which we hope that will increase our revenue even more, and so that we will have ample funds to be able to fund any project that comes along for our community. And this corporation is needed to provide the safeguards and to treat retired treasurers as a viable ongoing business, and make sure that it's legal and provided the oversight of a legal corporation. So, and if you've not already done so, please download on the link this morning. There's an FAQ information sheet about retired treasurers with some questions that you may or may not have had, but I think it'll give you a lot more information than you may currently have. And as always, we are available. Reach out to any member of our board if you have any questions. But thank you very much. Thank you, Ed.
All right, thank you. Before we get on to the individual committees, I just wanted to add a comment that a lot of people have worked on the bylaws, and we really appreciate Augie and Don and our bylaws committee and many others for bringing the organizations together. And the essence, as you all know already, is that we each, the RA board and the RTI, will name a member to be on the board of the other organization. And that will be done each year, a new member appointed by the RA board to sit on the RTI board and vice versa. And I think that's very important, and it provides complete information from one organization to the other. And I think that we're kind of opened up discussion between us, and it's very important that we continue that open discussion and involvement with both organizations. So thank you all for your help in bringing that together. The first committee report is bylaws with Richard Hamill.
Thank you, Ed. First, I would like to continue the thanks to the Bylaws Committee on the Resident Association that worked so hard on getting these things put together. And I'd like to acknowledge Helen Wiltsey, C.W. Marlowe, Guy LeBeau, and Larry Jewett. And they worked very hard, and we started this process back in March. We ran off the tracks a couple of times. We ran over a cliff a couple of times, but we got back up and we finally got it all together. And I think that what we have done today is going to work very nicely. I am proposing from the Bylaws Committee 6 changes to the bylaws. 5 of them relate to this agreement that you just voted into existence, and the other one has to do with the the immediate past president. Now, you all had a copy of these. Do you want me to go over them individually, or do you have any questions? How would you like to proceed? You have a question?
I just wanted to know, I thought I saw it, but I didn't.
I'm sorry.
Do you have an extra copy?
You got any guy? Okay. I'll just briefly run through these. What we did is we adopted to our bylaws the addition of this board seat that will be on retired treasurers. In page 2, Article 4, we added to a long list of positions, the representative from LVE, retired treasurers. On page 4, on page 3, same page 4, Article 4, retired treasurer's board member, this position is created by binding agreement that we just signed. So now that is part of our bylaws, refers to the binding agreement. So we're bound to that. On page 5, principal duties the president shall annually appoint a member to sit on that board. And then on page 6, it outlines the board members' responsibility. They shall attend board meetings and be familiar with the resident association bylaws. They shall represent LVE retired treasurers on resident association board. They shall make oral reports as the other committees chairmen do at our meetings, and they shall furnish quarterly and annual financial statements together with any other pertinent items that need to be brought to this group. And they may appoint an alternate if they're not able to report to the board. And the last item is one that we all agree needs to be done, and that would be to remove affiliated committees and special projects committee from our bylaws, because we will no longer have any affiliated committees, and special projects has been moved to retired treasurers. Any questions on those? The last one is the unfortunate passing of Abbott. We found that we did not have in our bylaws a mechanism to appoint a replacement. So we're putting in the immediate past president. In the event the immediate past president is unable to serve in this advisory capacity to the executive board, the previous past president will be asked to fill out the term. Therefore, CW is here this morning. Thank you all for your attention. If you have no questions, I present those to be voted on then.
Are there any questions, comments? There was a letter between RA and RTI and in your package, and so we will now take a vote on that. If you agree, say yes, or write on your little slip yes, and if not, say...
It'll be the same process as previously. Go circle the ballot.
Right.
Pick that, count it.
Just for a point of clarification, the board does not have the authority to approve these. What you're voting for is to pass them on to the membership at their annual meeting, so the membership, the residents of LVE can vote on this. And that's what you're voting to approve, to pass on these proposed amendment changes to the bylaws so that the residents can vote on them. We do not approve them. The board does not.
So do we want to do this?
At some point, not right now.
Well, there were 19 people eligible to vote, and 19 of them voted yes. So it's obviously unanimously approved, and thank you all for your patience and for your support of these important changes. All right, we're going to go to other committees at this point, and the next one up is culinary with Judy Lee.
Good morning. Before our meeting started on October 2nd, we took a moment to thank the culinary department for their outstanding service they provided during our recent weather that we experienced. They had extensive pre-planning and dedicated employees, and I don't think the residents noticed any decrease in the level of service we've come to expect from them. So we appreciate them and all of the LVE and corporate management team. The tailgate theme party, that was a huge success. We served 447 people that night, so that was very successful. And we have a Halloween theme night coming up on October 31st. We are continuing to promote the use of the green, reusable, recyclable, returnable containers. Additionally, we're going to start having bowls for soups, fruits, and ice creams that will be recyclable. For those who dine in Mountain View, you need to be aware that the green containers are available if you're taking home some food, and also in the bistro for grill items. Menu changes in reservations were available on October 7th, and the menu changes for Sydney's will be coming up in November. Chad reported to the committee that one of his primary goals is to enhance the Sunday brunch, which I know we're all excited to hear, including the addition of more healthy options. So that's a good thing. Chad has his new name tag, and now the chefs will be wearing black uniforms with their names embroidered on the uniform. So look for that. He also reported that the voucher system has been very favorable. It's very helpful in budgeting and forecasting, and so that seems to be working well. Daryl reported that our staffing with servers is good, except for times when there's school activities, of course, that they want to participate in. And you all might want to say goodbye to Amanda behind the hot bar. She is moving to October and to Colorado, and her last day is Tuesday. Brian reported that he's been very successful in retraining some of the sanitation workers to help out in the bistro. So that's going well. Scott reported on the service awards and how successful they were. The employees really enjoyed that recognition. We also had the ACTS Senior Vice President for Community Operations, Jeremy Neely, here, and he was very complimentary of the program. In the comment card report, which you all receive, it's attached to the culinary minutes when you get the board minutes. You'll notice that Karen Hickman points out individual sections for food requests, any positive comments on food concerns, positive comments on dining experiences, and dining experience concerns. So those are interesting comments. You might want to take a look at that. And then we always have a rousing discussion from the members and guests, and some of the items that came up are their hard rolls in Mountain View, and they want soft rolls. So, okay, in Mountain View, the plate warmers need to be kept on to keep the food hot as they go to the table. There was a suggestion for the menu and reservations to include a meal of real French onion soup, salad, and a roll. The menu items need more description. We need additional drink options at the cookout, something besides sugary sodas. And we need to offer a non-meat alternative, maybe even a veggie burger on request at the cookouts. New sandwiches need to be highlighted so to bring attention to them. We were glad to hear that if the power is lost, the kitchen has generators so we can continue to eat. Chad and Brian were asked to provide the servers with a description of the way steaks are cooked. Like describe if you want a warm pink center, what would that be? So the server knows how to answer your questions. We discussed extending brunch to 2 p.m., but decided that was not necessary. Chad is going to monitor the residents who eat between 1 and 1:30, and he wants to be sure that the meal options and the desserts are plentiful for late arrivals. Residents need to be reminded that when you do a comment card, just to say, I'm not happy with brunch, that's not helpful. We need specifics. What exactly were you not happy about? So we can work on that and perhaps improve it. And then late diners expressed at Sunday brunch, sometimes they feel rushed because they arrive late from church. And Chad did not want anybody to feel rushed. He said the servers have plenty to do and they'll still be able to leave at a reasonable time. So if you arrive late, don't feel like you have to hurry. Our next meeting is November 6th, and you're all welcome to attend. Are there any questions or comments? No? Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, Judy. Particularly appreciate your specific comments, and that was very helpful. Next is housekeeping. Pam Ellis is going to speak for Betty Mansfield.
Well, this is very short and sweet. We met Tuesday, September 24th, and in attendance were most of the committee and Shanda, Lupe, and Manuel. The housekeeping staff is, including 2 temporaries, fully staffed. The problem of insects coming in the automatic doors that open for east and west is going to be, they come in at night. It's going to be addressed by maintenance. That's a maintenance issue. Residents are reminded that we're approaching the end of the year, and it's very difficult, if not impossible, to reschedule a deep cleaning at this time, because these are scheduled a year in advance. So if the date of your deep cleaning, please check if you haven't had your deep cleaning this year. If the date of your deep cleaning doesn't work for you, please find somebody to swap with, and then contact Lupe by email who you're going to swap with so they can confirm that. And remember that about a week and a half or 2 weeks before your deep cleaning, you will get a notice on your front door to let you know how to prepare and so forth. And schedules for the 2025 deep cleanings will be posted late December or early January. And those are in the communication room and the mail rooms. So don't forget to check on that. Guest apartments are now being booked by Julia at the front desk rather than Lupe. So please contact her. It was noted that turning on your bathroom fan while showering, as well as leaving the door to the shower stall open after a shower, helps a lot with keeping mildew from coming along. So we wanted to pass that along. In case it's been in the link, but window cleaning is happening in late October. But the schedules for that will be in the link. The next housekeeping meeting will be Tuesday, October 29th at 1:30 in the meeting room. And anybody's welcome. Any questions? Yes?
Window cleaning, that is for the apartments. What about the,
Oh, that's a good question.
what about the guys that lived off the tracks down there?
I will check on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Well, one other while you're checking.
Okay.
I think that the policy before was on window cleaning, at least in the carriage homes. They only do the outside. However, if you request them to do the inside, you can do that for a fee that will be posted to your account later. Are we doing the same thing again?
That's the way I understand it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and if you're in an apartment, just in case you don't know, the window, they can get to the outside by pulling the window in and doing the outside.
Any other
Thank you.
questions or comments?
But I'll see what I can find out. Any questions you have with your cleaning, whether it's bi-weekly or deep cleaning or whatever, contact Lupe by email if you can, immediately with specifics. Because as you know, this is a job that has a lot of turnover, and so they're constantly training, and they're trying to keep the staff well-trained. But they really want to know right away. They don't want to know, 6 months down the line, well, they haven't been doing my such and such, So let Lupe know right away what training issues are going on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Next is landscaping, Carol Ann Armstrong.
Well, we are very lucky. We dodged a bullet, and the landscaping looks beautiful now. It's greener than it's been in months because we have had plenty of rain. And we had a little extra erosion around some of the sidewalks and some trees that were scheduled to be cut down, and we just did a little ahead of schedule. Jeremy reported that there were a few work orders outstanding, but most were related to the replanting, which will begin the end of this month and the 1st of November. Stephen and Jeremy have planned the resurfacing of the path in Memory Gardens, and that there are funds available, and that is supposed to be done soon. Irrigation continues to be worked on with valves in certain places, but the pond level is very high, the pump works, the well works, so if you know of a valve or an issue, there's an area in the train garden that needs work, and they are looking into repairing that may involve digging up the sidewalk. So it may be better to just use a hose in that area. 13 trees are scheduled to be taken down, but 7 of those are already down. Replacing the landscape that died this summer will begin late October and November, and the area around the maintenance shed on Mount Vernon Road is also going to be landscaped. The chapel garden renovation will begin in December, and before that begins, there are a number of plants there that need to be rescued: peonies, some lilies, a small ginkgo tree. A resident in one of the cottages asked what responsibility she had for her landscaping. and Jeremy explained that New Leaf was responsible for mowing and edging, spraying for weeds every 2 weeks during the growing season, pruning 2 or 3 times during the growing season and once during the dormant season, that they could not prune trees higher than 15 feet. It was also brought up that if a resident plants something in addition to this landscaping, he or she is responsible for that, for keeping that. The next meeting is November 6th. Do I have any questions? Yes.
Quick one on the irrigation coming out of west. They seem to come on right before 7 a.m. and we have a lot of walkers, people walking dogs and so forth. It can be a pretty chilling experience when they come on and you're in the middle of a walk. If that could be rescheduled to another time.
Why don't you email Stephen with that request?
Will do.
Most of the irrigation starts at midnight. And of course it cycles through. And I didn't realize that it was still going at 7, but we're just thankful when it works.
Right.
Anything else?
Contract.
Oh, the contract.
Sir, I was AWOL at your meeting, I apologize, but the new contract, or whoever you're going to hire, where we're at in the process there.
Yes, it ended on September 30th, so bids were turned in, corporate has them now and are reviewing them. We haven't heard anything yet.
Thank you.
Caroline, thank you very, very much. Next is legislative issues. Larry Jewett.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Good morning.
Morning.
I'll be brief. Hold your applause on that. So, the Legislative Issues Committee met on October 7th for their September meeting, which was supposed to have happened on the last Monday of the month, but didn't do that. I'm not going to cover all what we did in the meeting, but I would like to report on the committee's activities in trying to assist our residents as far as the upcoming election is gone. The committee has posted information in the communications room, in the mail rooms. We put on several, in the link, several information about that, and we intend to keep doing that. We've got some sample ballots should be in the communications room at least by this afternoon. I've talked to Aaron about transportation for our residents on the election day, but and I've been assured that can be worked out and will be worked out. And basically trying to assist residents of OBT and Willowbrook. We're going to look into that, what we can do to help that. So, and our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, October the 29th. The guest is anticipated to be, and you can always say that with our guests, anticipated to be John Kervin, Chief Operating Officer of Northeast Georgia Health Systems, which hope he will shed some light on what Northeast Georgia is planning across the street with the medical offices, as well as what's going on their campus, on both campuses. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next is life engagement, Karen Harden.
Good morning.
Morning.
We have a change and an update on the upcoming events that I sent y'all. On
What?
October 18th,
No.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
we have
I've got to go.
You got it?
T-Splosh
No, you
was
got it.
canceled because of the bad weather, so Brunel will not be here. The T-Splosh talk will be here. And also, we're adding on December 6th, the Salvation Army will be here. So those are the two changes, but I think you saw that we have so many activities coming up, which all the committees are really doing a great job. We do have Elvis coming for New Year's Eve. And we're gonna see about having some gambling also, have it like a Las Vegas night with the casino, so we'll see how that pans out. And I think that's about it. Once you see all the things coming up, there are really a lot of trips. And of course, Gail is always doing good movies and the Friday morning coffees. So are there any questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, I wanted to emphasize about 4 or 5 items. There's been a lot of discussion about the glass on the sidewalks. And they have tried to seal up the dumpster. Apparently it has worked pretty well. But the contract supposedly was going to be renewed in October, but it looks now like probably going to be November. And the new contract will require a sealed dumpster be located in all of the areas. The second item I'd like to mention is, you'll recall that on the 24th of April, there was a fire alarm that rang in West. The evacuation was a miserable thing. Some people did, some people didn't. Even some of the people that did vacate actually didn't go where they were supposed to go. Stephen, along with corporate, have been reviewing the evacuation plan to update it and make it a little bit easier to understand. Also, the fire department, local fire department has been looking at it, and Stephen has been trying to set up a meeting with the fire department. Thought it was going to take place this week, but it looks like it's probably going to be next week, so that they can review that, and then after that updated fire alarm evacuation plan is approved, it will then be tested. So you can look forward to in 6 to 8 weeks, we may have a fire drill. And that is important because we have a lot of people with mobility issues, and we need to make sure that we get them in a safe area and in an area where they can be removed from the building. The next item, there have been several instances where people have been speeding on the road going to Mount Vernon Gate. The speed bumps have been ordered. They have not been received as of yesterday. We thought they were going to be here this week. It appears that maybe they should be here next week. As soon as they come in, they will be installed. The next item I'd like to talk about is the sliding door in East, in the main lobby. This sliding door device has been malfunctioning for some period of time. This past week it has been replaced and was operating properly. So that should be taken care of. In addition to that, Stephen has been establishing a preventive maintenance program that he can have people check all of these sliding doors so that we can figure it out before people have problems with the sliding doors. So that should be taking place here in the next few weeks. The next item I'd like to discuss is the pond bridge will be repaired. The quotes are being obtained now. As soon as they are all verified and the low bidder will be selected, that will actually take place. And it appears right now that that'll be about 4 to 6 weeks from now. Are there any other items that anyone would like to bring up? Yes.
Since I use, and many of us here, especially those that are in the east cottages, that left turn off of Mount Vernon into Goldfinch Way is dangerous. And you know it, I know it, and we've got a proposed solution. If we consider it dangerous enough to take the action that we're going to take now, it would appear to me that we should take alternative action, like putting a sign up that says reduce speed crosswalk. And that can be put on a sandwich board, nicely printed. I'm telling you, every time I turn left, I come to a stop, I look right, I turn in, I look right, I look right. And it's not some speeding. I would say you're in the 95% speeding on that road. So I just, the safety committee needs to look at that and figure out an alternative with Stephen. It doesn't make sense to me to have a dangerous situation languish with no alternative, okay? That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, our next meeting will be the 7th of November in the meeting room. Thank you.
Thank you, Herb. Good job. Last board committee is memorials. Aston Johnson.
Good morning. Only a couple of announcements. Just to let you know that when they did the survey of all of the benches, we have 57 benches on the campus. And that includes the wooden ones, the concrete ones around the perimeter, and the new memorial metal benches. Other than that, just so that it'll be easier for people to find the applications for the Grove of Remembrance and the Memory Lane Gardens, we've put right beside the Life Engagement Bulletin Board 2 holders, one for the Leafs and the other one for the Memory Lane Garden applications. So hopefully that will make it easier for people to find. People call and say, where are they? They can't find them. So hopefully that will help. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Aston. The next is Board affiliated committees, special projects, Don Langen.
Good morning.
Morning.
Last week at a specially called board meeting of RTI, we approved a time-sensitive request for funding, and this was for the holiday lighting out at on the 3 crepe myrtles out at the Thompson Bridge entrance. That was approved for $1,278, and this is an ongoing project every year. The lights will be installed in late October and taken down sometime mid to late January. Special projects will hold their next meeting on Thursday, October 17th in the West Boardroom, and it's open to everybody. We would like to have visitors, especially the board members. We have one request for funding on the agenda, and that we'll probably have some discussion on that one. So I'll talk about that at the next board meeting. Special projects has really kind of an unusual problem. Kitty and her team are generating more income than we can spend. And we really need requests. So I'd ask everyone to take a look around the campus, see what you think needs to be done, and put in a request for funding or an idea form. And here's the guidelines. Funds are used for the benefit of the general population of LVE residents and/or improvements to the LVE campus. So that's a pretty broad in a lot of ways. But say 5th floor in the east wants new furniture for their lobby area. That's not for the general population. So that we would not do that. This year, revenues at retired treasurers are on target to hit above $60,000. And that compares to just 3 years ago, revenues were $31,520 for the whole year. So just a tremendous jump. And I think this retired treasurers used to be thought of as just a little mom and pop shop, not generating much money, but $60,000 is a big amount. And that's why we're incorporating. But a few facts here. Retired treasurers has 74 volunteers. If you think about that, that's more than 10% of the resident population. So a lot of people involved. Some recently updated and new documents. There's a price book listing guidelines for pricing things in retired treasurers. And I have one page here, and this is bedding and linens. Bath linens, bedroom linens, goes through one full page of pricing. There's an operations manual, 58 pages. And this is morning shift responsibilities, afternoon shift responsibilities, guidelines for apartment sales, quite a bit on the cash register. And then the last document is a organization chart. The general manager and then 6 managers over apartment sales, the thrift shop, finance, online sales, and then detailed job descriptions for each of those jobs. So this is quite an operation Kitty is running. The next, did I tell you when the next meeting was? I think I did. One thing I would like to bring up, it's more of a personal item. We have some very good friends who live at Tryon Estates in Columbus, North Carolina. And after Hurricane Helene, we were trying to contact them, couldn't reach them. We finally got hold of them, and they had been without power for 6 days. And they had nothing but praise for the ACTS staff. There were some corporate people there, and they were being served breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. And I think today is the last day they're getting the 3 meals per day. But the vice president of culinary from Pennsylvania was down there pitching in, serving meals to everybody. And I just think they had nothing but praise for the job that was done. Any questions? Thank you.
As everybody, I think, knows, they will no longer be an affiliated committee, but they will be part of RTI. So I think the papers we signed today will make that official. But Special Projects will continue doing the good work that they are already doing. We're turning now to administrative committees. First is Kitty Marlowe on campus improvement.
Morning. I'll make it brief. I hope you have all noticed that the chairs are back in Crossroads with special projects money. We had the wood refinished, we had the upholstery redone, and so that's our new look in Crossroads now. Special Projects has also funded new umbrellas for the bistro patio, and they are here, but we did not put them out due to impending storms coming. No need to have them blown away. So there's still some nice days to eat outside, and we will hope to get those umbrellas out very quickly now. I do want to comment on one thing. There seems to be a continuing report that new furniture has been ordered for the clubhouse. That is not so. We are still waiting on corporate approval for that, so we will let you know as that happens. Any comments or questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Kitty. Next one is Samaritan Fund. David Lee is going to speak today instead of Jimmy Falker.
Good morning, and thank you for the time to bring your report on the Samaritan Fund. I like the saying, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So I've taken this opportunity to set up the poster, which reflects the fundraising for the fund at this time. This poster will be in the lobby for a period of time, but I realize you can't read it probably from the distance you are, but I'd like to share with you that I've updated it to reflect that the fund has raised this, as of September, $72,153. As the poster reflects, our fundraising goal is $88,000, and hopefully, through the continued generous contributions of our residents, we'll meet or exceed that goal. To fulfill the purpose of this fund, which is to assist residents who, through no fault of their own, have fallen on financial hard times, we have a balance to meet that objective of $103,000 as of the end of September. Looking ahead, happy to report that Scott applied for and received approval from Hall County to operate fundraising raffles. Due to the upcoming holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving and all, the committee has decided to delay
executing or activating this very successful fundraising type of method of fundraising until the first part of next year. Let's see, I guess in closing, I'd just like to, again, thank all of the residents for their support of this very important fund. And thank you again.
Thank you, David. Next is the Employee Appreciation Fund.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody who has contributed. So far, 44% of the residents have. However, we're still $45,000 short. And Don, I heard your report. You need some projects? I may call on you. We do need to get the money in by the end of November. We write checks, start writing checks the first week of December, and we have about 260 employees for whom we write checks. So it's a big job to write all those checks. So I would hope that you all would encourage the folks. I've put an announcement in the link today, and it'll be in there tomorrow, about where we are. Got $75,000, and we try to get $120,000. So I would appreciate anybody encouraging your neighbors and I call on the board members here to get your districts, remind them again to contribute. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That's a very good cause. I was in charge of that last year, and it's a big job to collect from people, and I appreciate all the hard work that you and your wife are putting into it. Are there any comments from district representatives or visitors? Scott has one.
Just something quick, I did get an update that cottage windows will be done at the same time, apartment in that same time frame. Just wanted to add that.
Just one quick, is this one on? Not yet, huh? Now let me speak louder. Nominating committee has given you your slate, and they pointed out several of us, but not everybody was noticed. Ray Leach is being nominated for next year's. He was pointed out, but I don't know how many folks knew you. But you haven't been here but 15 years. For secretary, Kim is in the back. Would you stand up and let us see who you are? She lives in West and been here, what, 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, in between the two.
Okay. And Sharon on the front row been here about 2.5 years and lives in the East New Cottages. Thank you.
All right, Virginia, you want to comment about signing the letter? I got a note that you wanted.
You have the letter, you and Augie. If you would please sign that before this meeting is concluded.
All right, well, if Augie would stay afterwards, we will sign the letter.
Thank you, Scott, for, I had an email. I guess Lupe gets back to you a little faster. I wanted to say, Aspen reminded me that the inside of your windows are usually cleaned during our deep cleaning. Thank you.
All right, the next meeting will be November 14th, 2024 at 9:30. At that time, we will have the voting on the officers for next year, and I appreciate everybody coming and participating. With that, the meeting is adjourned.